Ooh, hey, good morning. It's Friday Eve. It's the day before Friday. And I don't know about you, but I am ready. I am ready for Friday. I don't know. Sometimes I feel like this period of time between Thanksgiving and December, nobody really is like 100% focused. It's kind of hard to focus this morning because I'm so excited about Christmas. Let me know what your Christmas plans are. 309-451-9299. We've got so much news to get to this morning. You'd think that this would be a slow news period. I mean, we have Daniel Penny, the acquittal. We're going to get to that here a little bit later because there's this BLM leader who's sitting there saying, the jury was picked and it was racist the way that they picked this jury. Although there were people of color, lots of people of color on the jury, this BLM leader says that somebody was denied from sitting on the jury because they had unconventional hair, and she said that was racist because this individual, who was a person of color, had purple hair, and she was denied because she had unconventional hair, which I do not believe. I don't know who said that. The defense attorneys of Jordan Neely. Okay, but we're gonna get to that clip because she was on News Nation, this BLM leader, and she just is not accepting the facts of the case. And we'll talk about it. But I also want to get to Justin Trudeau. He called himself a feminist. I think it's interesting that he claims he's all in for women's rights, but he also, in the same breath, will say that he is pro-trans rights. You can't have pro-trans rights and then pro-women's rights because trans rights are really just trampling all over women's rights. So we're going to talk about it. Justin Trudeau claiming that women's rights and progress are under attack in America, the United States. He slandered the United States for not electing a woman, Kamala Harris. So I want to talk about that. Plus, I want to talk about UK. They've banned puberty blockers. Yes, the UK banned puberty blockers, but here in the United States, we still give puberty blockers to minors. So the UK banned it, but we haven't yet. So we should really consider banning these things because it does the exact opposite of what medicine is supposed to do, which is help people. So we're going to talk about that. Plus San Diego. This is shocking. My jaw dropped. And I wouldn't doubt that, either McLean County, Cook County. I think Cook County is probably going to do it before McLean County. But McLean County having a Democrat supermajority board, I could see them doing this. San Diego votes to turn the county turn the city into a super sanctuary city, San Diego County. The county, they turned it into a super sanctuary county. And they said that they're not going to be cooperating with ICE. And if officials from that county, any police officials or any law enforcement or any government officials cooperate with ICE or federal law enforcement to, enforce federal immigration law. Are these people not aware that they have to follow federal law? I'm sorry, but you have to follow federal law. Just because you craft up an ordinance doesn't mean you swore an oath to serve and protect. You swore an oath to uphold the Constitution, and you're literally just ripping up the Constitution with this provision. So San Diego County, what is a super sanctuary county? We know what sanctuary counties are. What is a super sanctuary county? We'll get to it here on Conservative Cat Cities 92.9, the news and talk Bloomington Normal. A big shout out to Cole Thompson. He is our winner for our Show Us Your Game photo contest. So congratulations to Cole Thompson. He and his son, they did a duo entry. So he and his son Braden Thompson are the winners of the 2024 Show Us Your Game. They won a $500 gift certificate to Guns in Glory in Leroy, Illinois. They also won a Bloomington Meats meat processing, deer processing, and they got a gift certificate to Quinn Skulls Taxidermy. So thank you so much to our partners for partnering with us this year for the prize pack. And big shout out to Nicole Thompson and Braden Thompson. They're the winners this year. So thanks for all who entered. Better luck next year for winning the prize pack. All right, I do want to get to this. Justin Trudeau claiming that he is all in for women's rights. And you can't be in for women's rights if you're also for trans rights, by the way. But he claims that he's for women's rights. And he says that women's rights and progress are under attack because people in the United States voted for Donald Trump a second time and they refused to elect Kamala Harris. So Justin Trudeau says that he is a proud feminist. Take a listen.
It wasn't supposed to be that way. We were supposed to be on a steady, if difficult sometimes, march towards progress. And yet, just a few weeks ago, the United States voted for a second time to not elect its first woman president. Everywhere, women's rights and women's progress is under attack, overtly and subtly. But I want you to know that I am, and always will be, a proud feminist. You will always have an ally in me and in my government.
Oh boy. By proud feminist, I couldn't help but think, I think he actually means he's just gay. I mean, that's the vibe I'm getting. By proud feminist, by coming out and saying that, I think that he just wants to come out and say that he's gay. And that you might as well just say that instead of slandering the United States because we chose Donald Trump instead of Kamala Harris, right? So under the Kamala Harris leadership, the United States was worse off. Okay, under Justin Trudeau's leadership, Canada became worse off. So, you could say it takes one to know one, right? Kamala Harris and Justin Trudeau, they both, under their leadership, make their constituents less happy, and they both suck at their job. So it's no surprise that Justin Trudeau is crying about Donald Trump winning. Okay. And he's crying really, I think now, and he's like saying, I'm a proud feminist. And unfortunately, America, is not progressing. Right. And this is what he says. I think he's doing this because he's big sad that Donald Trump put him in his place. He said, look, Canada's going to become the 51st state. If you guys rely on that, on us so heavily, if we subsidize your country so heavily, then you're just going to become the 51st state. You have to start policing your own border. And you can't keep shafting us in these trade deals. So according to CBC, Prime Minister Justin Trudeau said that Kamala Harris lost in the United States presidential election, and that is a setback for women's progress, and cited several recent incidents that he said suggest women's rights are under attack by regressive and reactionary political forces, whatever the hell that means. Kamala Harris lost, okay? And it had nothing to do with her insignificant birth traits. It had nothing to do with the fact that she's a woman. It had everything to do with the fact that she is incompetent and she is a radical. Okay, the United States could not afford another 4 years of immigration crisis, record inflation. We're in an economic crisis. We couldn't afford this for another 4 years. So we couldn't survive under Kamala Harris. And Americans knew that. They knew they wouldn't be able to survive under a Kamala Harris administration. So the outcome had to be the same guy we elected in 2016. Okay, and here's the thing. If Kamala Harris was a man, I think the outcome would have been the same. It's not that she's a woman that people didn't vote for her. Nobody really cares about your insignificant birth traits. What people care about is, survival. So Justin Trudeau, he addressed this group. It was like a Ottawa, Canada gala, and Equal Voice, which is an organization. It's all these nonprofit organizations. They just didn't make me go bonkers. This organization, this nonprofit NGO, works to get women elected for public office. And Trudeau said politicians who are hostile to women's rights, particularly a women's right to choose abortion, are winning too often, unfortunately. And he said feminists like himself have to be lucid about the challenges ahead. Nice. That's pretty rich coming from a guy who defends trans rights, by the way. Like I said, you can't be for women's rights and also for trans rights, okay? Because trans rights, it's only possible at the expense of women. Okay, so you can't be an advocate for trans people and an advocate for women's rights. because quite frankly, you don't even know what a woman is. Okay, so if you're an advocate for this trans ideology and for trans so-called rights, you can't be for women's rights because inevitably trans rights tramples all over women's rights. So subsequently, Canadian women have faced politicians who have been hostile to women's rights for far too long, and that needs to end because women have to be in bathrooms with men who say they're women. Women have to compete against men in Canada. So Canadian women's have faced politicians who are hostile to women's rights. That's what they're dealing with. And you're just projecting that onto the United States. So, yeah, I like this. This is what he says. We're supposed to be on a steady, if difficult, march towards progress. And yet, just a few weeks ago, the United States voted for a second time to not elect its first woman president. So he's talking about Hillary Clinton there. Yeah, the reason why we didn't vote for Hillary Clinton is because she's crooked and I don't know, a lot of Americans think that she may or may not have killed somebody, or the Clinton family has may or may not been at the helm of killing people. Okay, so people know she's corrupt, and that's why we didn't vote for Hillary Clinton. Kamala Harris is just incompetent. So Trudeau also said this: women's rights and women's progress are under attack. And he goes, and I want you to know that I'm always going to be a proud feminist, which just means you're gay. Just say it, Justin. You will always have an ally in me and my government. So, yeah, I just don't understand this guy. He's saying that we shouldn't have voted for Donald Trump. I'm sorry, but how is electing somebody who is going to guarantee your survival? We can't afford 4 more years of this. We can't survive 4 more years of a Biden-Harris administration or whoever's running the show. We know Kamala probably wouldn't have been running the show. It's whoever's pulling the strings for Joe Biden. We can't afford those puppeteers another 4 years for another 4 years. Canada's leadership here, it's a total clown show, okay? And it's comical. And I'm shocked that he has a backbone here to slander the United States when we are constantly sending money their way and we're getting shafted in trade deals. Their entire lumber industry is subsidized. It's not an equal playing field. They dump all of their lumber into the United States for cheap. Our lumber industry, the American lumber industry, cannot compete because they're selling it at bottom dollar and the low prices, and we can't compete. We're laying off people. And all we've asked of them is, hey, follow trade laws. Okay, you can't be subsidizing this crap and dumping it into the United States and outselling our guys because you can sell it at that low of a price because you're taxing your people into oblivion. Okay, this is not fair. It's just not fair. And not to mention, we're defending you. We're to the tune of hundreds of billions of dollars. So he's got quite the backbone on him, Justin Trudeau. All right, I do have to take a quick break, but you're listening to Conservative Cat. Why isn't the United States doing what the UK? Why haven't they done what the UK has already done? Ban puberty blockers for minors. I'll be right back. You're listening to Conservative Cat on Cities 92.9. Why is he the leader of Canada? I have no idea. Pierre Poilievre, so he's actually getting out, and this is probably like a campaign stop. Pierre Poilievre has been polling way further ahead than he's further ahead in the polls than Justin Trudeau. Okay, people like Paul Poilievre. Paul Poilievre, I think I'm saying that correctly. He's the conservative pick over there in Canada. So that's also probably why he met with Donald Trump. To try to appear as if to the Canadians, the conservative Canadians. Canadians are not happy over there. The Canadian truckers, you guys remember this with the mask mandates and the vaccination mandates, the trucks and the protests. Yeah, it's a silly country. Okay, if they were following trade laws, I think I would look at them a little bit differently. But they're a major reason why we've seen mass layoffs here in the United States. So I'm cool with countries like um, for example, I was talking about Syria the other day. You got a bunch of like Islamist rebel forces invading and everything like that. Uh, as long as we don't get involved, go ahead. I really don't care what you guys do in your silly countries, but when it starts to affect us, that's when I start to get peeved off. And Canada has decided to screw over the American public, and I've had it up to here with Canada, and so is Donald Trump. So I'm hoping that he fixes it and tariffs the oblivion out of them. We'll be right back. You're listening to Conservative Cat. Smash that like button and share this out with your friends. Hey, good morning. It's Conservative Cat on Cities 92.9, the news and talk Bloomington Normal. Before we took the break, I was telling you a little bit about the UK and them banning puberty blockers for minors. Given that puberty blockers, they're just an objectively evil thing to do to kids because it does the exact opposite of what medicine is intended to do. The UK has finally banned this deranged, evil practice. So let's take a listen here. This is their, his name is Wes Streeting. Now, he's the health secretary. And by no means are these people like conservatives or anything like that, okay? But I think everybody with a brain can understand that puberty blockers are bad for kids.
I know it's not easy being a trans kid in our country today. The trans community is at the wrong end of all of the statistics for mental ill health, self-harm, and suicide. I can't pretend to know what that's like, but I do know what it's like to feel you have to bury a secret about yourself, to be afraid of who you are, to be bullied for it, and then to experience the liberating experience of coming out. I know it won't feel like it based on the decisions I'm taking today, but I really do care about this, and so does this government. I'm determined to improve the quality of care and access to healthcare for all trans people. I'm convinced that the full implementation of the CAS review will deliver material improvements in the well-being, safety, and dignity of trans people of all ages. I know it's not easy.
Okay, so that, like I said, this was Wes Streeting. Wes Streeting, he came out as gay years ago, and he's coming out and saying, look, I understand you, but this is really not a safe practice. After listening to the medical experts, we've decided to ban this sort of thing, puberty blockers for kids under the age of 18. So, I saw this coming, right? The UK banning it. The United States is probably going to ban it. I would hope so. Putting kids on medication that chemically and medically castrates them. And these are medications that we use to castrate pedophiles, actually. It has been used to castrate pedophiles, the same medication. And we're doing that to healthy children just because they feel some type of way. Yeah, who could have thought this? Who could have thought, we're going to block or we're going to ban these puberty blockers? Yeah, I knew this would happen because this is absurd. This is the same medication that they're using and have used to chemically castrate pedophiles. According to The Guardian, puberty blockers for kids under the age of 18 with gender dysphoria will be banned indefinitely across the UK, except it will be used for clinical trials. It's a step in the right direction, folks. It's a win, but we probably shouldn't be giving it to kids. If it's not safe to give the kids just indefinitely across the UK, we probably shouldn't be giving it to kids in clinical trials. But it really should have never gotten this far. So much damage has already been done. What about the kids who have already been on puberty blockers? What about those guys, right? But I digress. This is Wes. Like I said, he's gay. He's the health secretary, and he said after receiving advice from medical experts, he would make existing emergency measures banning the sale and supply of puberty blockers indefinitely. So he's making these. You don't need an expert, though, to tell you that puberty blockers probably not a good thing. I don't think I need somebody telling me that puberty blockers is not a good thing, or an expert telling. I just know you don't block basic human functions, right? And we're going to get to a story later today. This teacher, she blocked her kids from using the bathroom. Okay, so she was fired after revoking their bathroom privileges. They're first grade students, by the way. I'm going to get to the story a little bit later, but you don't block the bodily functions that the body's supposed to go through. Okay, I mean, it doesn't take an expert to know that. So I hope that the United States catches on This is a painfully obvious fact that puberty blockers are bad for kids. The Department of Health and Social Care said the Commission on Human Medicines had published an independent expert advice that there was currently an unacceptable safety risk in the continued prescription of puberty blockers to children. Okay, so this Commission on Human Medicines, they published this, and after seeing all of what the experts had said, then they banned it. Like I said, don't know why you really need an expert to say that puberty blockers are bad for kids. Common sense will tell you that. Just like it's bad to revoke restroom privileges for kids, you probably shouldn't revoke their healthy bodily functions like going through puberty. This has been common knowledge for years that puberty, nobody's ever tried to stop kids from going to puberty, but it took this long for officials to care about it and really pretend to care. I mean, this is really bad stuff. You're using medication on children, the same medication that you use to chemically castrate pedophiles. It's just so disgusting. However, this still does not do anything to save so many lives because, like I said, they're going to be doing clinical trials. And it also doesn't do anything, this ban, it doesn't do anything to help those who have permanently been affected by this and who have already taken puberty blockers. Okay, because of this incompetence, because the government was so slow to react there in the UK, because the United States is so slow to react here, and we're prescribing children puberty blockers. Believe me, it's happening here in the United States. How many lives are being destroyed? How many youthful lives are being destroyed and permanently destroyed? And we can still use, in the UK, they're still using these medications to experiment on children in clinical trials, as if this somehow needs experimentation. Like I said, it's common sense. You don't stop somebody's puberty, okay? And I'm satisfied that this is, going in the step, or it's a step in the right direction, and it's kind of a win, but it's also kind of too late, and it's also not as big as a win as you would think, because they're still using kids as guinea pigs for this kind of medication, so-called medication. That being said, I think it's kind of interesting, all these progressive and social experiments, they always target children and the most vulnerable populations. So for example, it's probably going to wind up passing this next legislative session out of Illinois, physician-assisted suicide, okay, where they're going, and they're always, all of these social experiments and progressive experiments, they always target children and vulnerable populations, like our elderly or like people with cancer or something like that. And it's just so evil. And it's clear that they are targeting vulnerable populations to push their social experiments. All right, I gotta take a quick break, but you're listening to Conservative Cat. I want to get to San Diego because this is crazy. San Diego County, the county, so this is the bigger government. San Diego took it a step further from sanctuary county to super sanctuary county. What does super sanctuary county mean? I'll be right back with that. You're listening to Conservative Cat. Is it a major win? I don't know. I used the title here as major win for common sense. UK bans puberty blockers for minors, but I feel like it's not a win because I feel like it's a little too late. And I hate to say that, but it's true. People are already permanently damaged by puberty blockers. And what are you going to do for them, UK government? Because you were so slow to react to this social experiment and shut it down. Now you've got kids who are permanently affected by this, by puberty blockers. The medication we've used in years past to castrate pedophiles, by the way, we've used it on our healthy children who've done nothing wrong. And now they're permanently affected. And not to mention, they're still like researching this, and, big pharma, these medication companies, they're only going to get richer and richer because I guarantee the government's going to throw them some money to conduct these clinical trials and to find out more about these types of puberty blockers. And maybe we'll revisit the ban once we, have a breakthrough in the science. Give me a break. This is just ridiculous. So they're going to keep testing this on kids. And I find it so interesting. Our vulnerable populations are always targeted by democratic social experiments. So another one that's really popular here in the state of Illinois, it's probably going to be legalized next legislative session if they get their way, the Democrats. And they have a supermajority in the House, in the Senate. I mean, there's barely any Republicans there, and there's barely anybody there with common sense, Republicans and Democrats alike. So most likely it's going to get passed. But this is a physician-assisted suicide. So if you have something like cancer or a long-term health condition, you can try to get physician-assisted suicide, where you take a pill and then you die. And the physician provides that pill for you. It's really sad. And that's not something we should be doing here. Okay, we should be we should be working with our vulnerable populations to give them the best quality of care. Okay, now if that's pulling them off of their feeding tubes, if that's making them as comfortable as possible with medication that we currently have and letting them go naturally, then we should do that. I'm not against that, but I am against prematurely taking people's lives. And they'll tell you until they're blue in the face that, oh, that'll never happen, that it'll be only for the terminally ill people, and there's no way that they'll come back. I've heard of miracles happen before, where somebody has like stage 4 cancer, stopped their chemo, and they were on their way out, and they were going to die. And miraculously, they snapped out of it within like a couple of days. So there are miracles that happen, and to insert yourself in their healing process, or in such a way that it's just not your place. It's just not your place to kill somebody. I'm sorry. Children in the womb, people who are terminally ill. It's really interesting. There are social experiments like abortion, transgenderism, physician-assisted suicide. It always affects the most vulnerable populations. Unborn children, trans ideology, right? This is all, this is definitely kids in that puberty. We'll have to look up the numbers, but the likelihood that kids come out as trans is so high, and it's higher than it's ever been before, because it's a social thing. It's social status. If I'm transgender, then I'm cool, or I'm different, and they don't understand the complexities of coming out as trans and how that can permanently damage your life if you get on things like puberty blockers. So they target kids with this stuff. Look at the rainbow flag, right? It's a pretty flag. It's clearly targeting children. A colorful flag like that, and using the rainbow, right? It's coming after the kids. And then they target our elderly. They target the elderly with this physician-assisted suicide, all of that. So I'm going to be right back. You smash that like button and share this out with your friends. Woo! Hey, good morning. It's Conservative Cat on Cities 92.9, the news and talk of Bloomington Normal. Before we get into today's story, big congratulations to Cole Thompson. He won the Show Us Your Game 2024 photo contest. Thank you for all those who entered. We had a ton of entries. I hope deer season was good for you. Got a bunch of trophy bucks, pheasant, quails, ducks. I don't know if it's duck season. I'm not a hunter. But we had a lot of people enter, and congratulations to, of course, Cole, and he had his son Braden actually out there hunting with them, and they took down a couple of really good-looking bucks. So before we took the break, I was telling you a little bit about San Diego. Now, I don't know when local municipalities know. We know Bloomington, Normal, they're sanctuary cities, right? McLean County, I think, is like a sanctuary county or whatever. I don't know. I just know that it's super liberal, and it's probably, I mean, they're not going to deport people, right? And they probably aren't already cooperating with federal immigration laws because it's a blue county. But, you know, San Diego County, they're taking it a step further than just, you know, hey, we're not going to actively deport you. We're going to punish you if you cooperate with ICE or federal law enforcement. We're going to punish you as a government official or as a police officer if you cooperate with federal immigration enforcement. So, like I said, I don't know when they started suddenly blatantly saying, hey, we're not going to follow federal laws, local municipalities, because we live in a country. It's the United States of America. Bloomington Normal is a part of the United States of America. You're not your own country, okay? This isn't Chaz. So you can't just blatantly create ordinances that go against federal immigration laws, okay? San Diego took it a step further. It's not a sanctuary county, it's a super sanctuary county. So while San Diego always was a sanctuary for people who disregard federal immigration laws, because let's be honest, they disregard federal immigration laws and they break these laws. This county was always a sanctuary for those people. That wasn't good enough for the County Board of Supervisors, okay? Subsequently, they just voted to turn the county into what's called a super sanctuary county. And they said that they're not going to cooperate with ICE under the Trump administration. And anybody who attempts to cooperate with ICE under the Trump administration, they will be subject to punishment. So let's take a listen. Here we go.
I think this policy goes beyond California's existing sanctuary laws by adding an additional layer of bureaucracy that hinders local law enforcement from directly notifying ICE about illegal immigrants who are currently in our jails, and they have committed heinous crimes, including child abuse or endangerment, driving under the influence of alcohol or drugs, but only if this conviction is for a felony, possession of an unlawful deadly weapon, gang-related offenses, a crime resulting in death or involving personal affliction or great bodily injury, possession or use of a firearm in the commission of an offense, torture, rape, and kidnapping. That's the population we're talking about. So under this policy, and if a legal immigrant commits one of these serious crimes, San Diego County would be legally prohibited from directly coordinating with ICE. This effectively protects the offenders from deportation, allowing them to remain in our communities where they could cause that same harm again. And this isn't just theoretical. We have seen the devastating consequences of such policies across the nation. Barbie Larson was brutally murdered in her own home by an illegal alien gang member with a history of drug possession and burglary. He was released because of sanctuary laws. Kate Steinle was senselessly shot and killed on a San Francisco pier by an illegal immigrant with a long history of violent crime. Just months ago, I sat next to Patty Morin, a mother whose life was shattered when her daughter was raped, murdered by an illegal immigrant. Her heartbreaking testimony is something I'll never forget. A reminder that these tragedies are not statistics. They are human lives forever altered. And these tragedies are preventable, but sanctuary laws allow them to happen by allowing illegal criminals back into our communities instead of into the hands of ICE. San Diego County is already spending $5 million annually of taxpayer money to provide legal counsel for illegal immigrants facing deportation, no matter what the reason is that they're being deported. This proposed legislation, to me, seeks to prioritize the interest of illegal criminal immigrants over the safety of law-abiding immigrants and citizens. I don't think we can continue down this path.
Okay, so here's the news. NBC reports the San Diego County Board of Supervisors voted 3-1 to restrict the use of county resources for federal immigration enforcement. Wow. The board chairman, that's Nora Vargas, said the policy is designed to ensure local resources are focused on addressing the county's most urgent needs. Oh, I don't know. I think that the homeless population there is really, really bad, which probably is due to the influx of illegal immigrants coming to the sanctuary county. But I digress. So she goes on, she says, addressing the county's most urgent needs. This is what this policy is supposed to do while protecting families and promoting community trust. It's pretty comical. Pretty comical considering how bad the migrant situation is there in San Diego. Like I said, the homeless population is really bad. It's not a coincidence, okay, that the illegal population increased and the unhoused population, as they like to call them, it's homeless, okay? I'm sick of this whole unhoused nonsense. The unhoused population also increased. The homeless population increased along with the illegal immigrant population. So this is what Vargas said. She goes, immigration enforcement is a federal responsibility, and our county will not be a tool for policies that hurt our residents. You are aiding and abetting. This is a crime. These people should be the 3-1, the 3 that voted for this thing. They should be in handcuffs. They are they're breaking laws. I mean, and then Vargas is the one who actually crafted this thing. So the chairwoman is the one who crafted it. And these illegal immigrants, they're hurting the legal immigrants and the legal residents, people who came to this country legally, whether they're on a work visa or green card or whatever it is. They're hurting them. Shouldn't they work on, protecting them, protecting the legal immigrants, protecting the citizens, rather than the foreign nationals who shouldn't even be here and disregarded our federal immigration laws? I have to take a quick break, but we're going to wrap this story up on the other side. And I do want to get to Daniel Penny, the trial here, because the BLM leader there is saying that it's racist that they didn't select somebody because of her hair color to be on the jury. And she kind of implied that would have made a difference, how the jury came back, if that person would have been allowed to be on the jury. I'm just shocked by this woman. She just completely is disregarding the facts of this case and of the Daniel Penny trial. So I'll be right back. You're listening to Conservative Cat. Hey, good morning. Go ahead, smash that like button, share this out with your friends. I so do appreciate you tuning in. Why are illegals just a little bit illegal? They're just a little bit illegal. A woman cannot be a little bit pregnant. Illegals cannot be a little bit illegal. Yeah, so like this guy said, he was the only one who voted against it. We're going to get to him. His name is, let me pull it. The guy who voted against this in San Diego, Desmond, that's his name, Jim Desmond. He was the lone no vote, and that was who you heard there in that clip that I played for you. And he was talking about, the law-abiding citizens and the legal immigrants are not doing well in San Diego, and they should be putting their needs above those who broke federal immigration laws and shouldn't be here. All right, smash that like button. I'll be right back. Woo! Hey, good morning. It's Conservative Cat on Cities 92.9, the news and talk of Bloomington Normal. I wanted to wrap this story up. Now, this Vargas woman, she's the chairwoman over there in San Diego County, and they've made their county into a super sanctuary county, which means you could be subject to punishment if you cooperate with federal immigration enforcement. So here's what Vargas says. She says, immigration enforcement is a federal responsibility, and our county will not be a tool for policies that hurt our residents. Oh boy. She also she's the one who made the proposal, okay? Illegal immigrants hurt legal residents, okay? And the county should be working to protect the legal residents and the legal citizens and the legal immigrants of that community, rather than these foreign nationals who shouldn't even be here, and they disregarded our federal immigration laws. Okay, I don't know when local municipalities thought it was okay to skirt federal law, but they did it with the sanctuary counties and cities and all of that. And now they're making super sanctuary counties. So the board letter states that immigrant communities form an integral part of our county's social fabric. The federal immigration authorities, including the Department of Homeland Security, U.S. Immigration and Customs Enforcement, and the U.S. Border Patrol, coerces local law enforcement to carry out deportations. Family members are separated, and community trust in law enforcement and local government is destroyed. So this is what they're saying in this letter, in this policy that they adopted. They voted on it 3-1. Now, the guy who voted against it, Jim Desmond, is who you heard here on this tape. Let me play a little bit more of it.
Ability to protect our communities and actually put our lives at risk. We cannot let San Diego County become the next headline for an avoidable tragedy. These policies aren't just flawed, but they're reckless and they endanger every member of our community. Let's prioritize safety over politics, justice over ideology, and protection of innocent lives above all else.
Okay, so in a statement, Jim Desmond, who you heard there, said that the decision to turn San Diego into a super sanctuary county is an affront to every law-abiding citizen who values safety and justice. Now, for flavor here, what goes on in San Diego County is crazy. It makes your jaw drop. When you look at some of these videos, I actually remember talking about this video, I think it was about a year ago now, where you had this group of illegal immigrants beach their fishing boat. It was a very nice boat, by the way. They beached the boat, and then they sprinted up the stairs of the little beached area there and into a neighborhood, okay, in San Diego. So they left the boat. They abandoned the boat. Things are really, they're coming in on jet skis, right? County officials are enabling an invasion, okay? And it's unclear how they're getting away with this. I don't even know how they've gotten away with it with the whole sanctuary county thing. And because we didn't nip it in the bud then, now we're dealing with the super sanctuary crap. So these people took an oath to protect Americans, and what they're doing here is tyrannical. It's pathetic, and there has to be something done. They're doing everything in their power to stop Americans feeling safe and feeling like they are part of an actual country. Okay, when you have no borders, you should be able to be sovereign, right? Our Constitution declares sovereignty as a nation. We're not a nation if we don't have borders. But hey, no human is illegal. I like what he said there, Jim Desmond, the guy who voted against this thing. He says, let's put justice over ideology. But unfortunately, these people put their ideology over the protection of citizens and justice. And their ideology is, quote, no human is illegal, right? Ridiculous. All right, I'll be right back. You're listening to Conservative Cat on Cities 92.9, the news and talk of Bloomington Normal. Update about the Daniel Penny trial. That's next. Welcome to the Red Kingdom. I so do appreciate you tuning in this morning. It's Friday Eve. I'm so ready for the week to be over. I don't know about you, but it's really hard to focus around this time of year. I'm really excited for Christmas. 309-451-9299. Where are you headed for Christmas? What are your Christmas plans? Before I took the break, I was telling you, we are going to get to the BLM leader because she claims that the jury was racist in the Daniel Penny trial. Okay. Because of unconventional hair. Yes. So a jurist wasn't allowed to be on the jury. They said, hey, you can't be on the jury. But she says it's because of her unconventional hair because she had purple hair. Come on, give me a break. Nobody said that it was due to her having purple hair. She just wasn't allowed to be on the jury. So we're going to get to that, but I promised you that I'd get to this story. We talked about the UK banning puberty blockers for minors. This is kind of a win. Like I said, they're still doing it in clinical trials, so we're still, using kids as guinea pigs for this medication, the same medication that we've used in years past to chemically castrate pedophiles. We're using that type of medication on healthy young children who have done nothing wrong. I want to get to this story because, like I said, to block somebody's puberty is definitely abuse. You're blocking somebody's bodily functions. It's the same thing as if you were to force kids to not be able to pee or just have bodily functions, or if you prohibited somebody's breathing, right? If you put a pillow over somebody's face and you stopped them from breathing, it's the same thing. It's a bodily function. If you prohibit somebody's bodily functions and their right to live, right? Puberty is a part of life. That's abuse, and you should be in cuffs. So parents who give their kids puberty blockers, parents who prevent their kids from going through or having bodily functions, teachers who prevent children from urinating and going to the bathroom. That's where our story starts today. I've got to bring you this story just so that way you're aware, right? Public schools, sometimes this kind of stuff happens and you need to be aware of what's going on in your schools. This happened in, where is it? I think it's California. I got to look at the state. It's not Illinois. Texas, actually, of all places. So this happened in Texas. This is Bartlett Elementary School. So it doesn't matter. Red state, blue state, doesn't matter. You've got to be aware what's going on. Here's this story. Okay, so first graders. Okay, she revoked the bathroom privileges or the restroom privileges for the first graders. What's the matter with you? Okay, you are clearly deranged. I've always thought that's really weird. Why in the world would you revoke restroom privileges for children? Especially first graders, okay? Now I understand they're a high schooler and they've been to the bathroom a couple of times and you're like, okay, you're just trying to ditch class. I get that. This is clearly not the case though for first graders, okay? This teacher at the school district, it's called Conroe Independent School District. It's in Texas. She revoked the kids' restroom privileges. Now she's been fired, okay? But her name is Ashley Barrera. And she's a first grade teacher at Bartlett Elementary School. And she was infuriated because sixth grade or 6-year-old students, first graders, accidentally lost a bathroom pass. Okay. So, how could you not see this happening, right? They're six years old. They're going to lose a bathroom pass. If you give them a bathroom pass, they're probably going to lose it. They're 6. Okay. This just shows her shows you how unqualified she is to teach, because she in her deranged mind thought it would be okay to give them a bathroom pass, and she didn't want this. If you didn't want this bathroom pass to be lost, then you probably shouldn't have given it to a 6-year-old. Just saying. So she was so infuriated that the kids lost the bathroom pass that she decided to do the only logical thing, right? And punish the kids by revoking their bathroom privileges and preventing them from using the restroom. Wild story. Here we go. Let's take a listen.
It's a breaking development in a story we first told you about yesterday. A Conroe Elementary School teacher is no longer employed after denying first grade students access to the restroom. That news coming to us in the last hour or so from the school district. Parents shared a message from the Bartlett Elementary teacher with KHOU 11 News. It said students lost privileges after a restroom badge was lost. The message went on to say several students wet themselves. Conroe ISD says it is committed to supporting impacted students and families. It's a breaking development in a story we've...
Okay, so Another part of this that I haven't talked about is the fact that she punished everyone for one individual. It was just one 6-year-old who lost the bathroom pass. Like I said, losing bathroom pass, giving a bathroom pass to a 6-year-old, kind of silly. Shows you how unqualified she is to teach. And public schools, they're riddled with these kinds of people. You have to do your homework and you have to really just communicate with your kid. And I'll get to this here in a second. But, she's punishing the entire classroom for one student's actions. And this punishment, it wasn't even warranted really to begin with. But what were her thoughts in that moment, right? She goes, wow, I can't believe a 6-year-old lost my stupid little bathroom pass, my ruler, right, with a little clip on it. And I can't believe that they lost it. I'm just so mad. Now everybody's got to suffer. What? Like, is that what your thought process was? Gosh, you don't force young children like this to hold in their bodily waste and expect them to not. So the kids had accidents. Okay, that's ultimately what happened here. And they soiled themselves, which is really, really sad. So sad. So she decided to victim blame her students to the parents. Okay. So Ashley Barrera, she revoked bathroom privileges. They obtained screenshots, the Trinity County media. They obtained screenshots from a text from Barrera to the parents explaining the missing restroom badge, so the bathroom pass, and that led her to denying bathroom access for the six-year-olds, right? And the students wound up subsequently soiling themselves because they're 6 and they couldn't hold their bladders, right? So she says this, and here's what the text says, okay? Hello, parents. I want to inform you about an incident that happened today. Today, my class lost their privilege to use the restroom. Using the restroom is a privilege, I guess. Okay. During class because they lost their restroom badge while being in the hallway. Unfortunately, we had some friends who needed to use the restroom. Friends. She calls them friends. Weird. And ended up peeing on themselves. What? I do want to apologize for that incident. I had a talk with those students about how important it is to use our thing appropriately. So I'm thinking the restroom pass is what she's referring to in here in this text message, is to use the restroom pass appropriately or the restroom badge appropriately. But please have a talk with them about this as well. What? So she wants these parents to continue to blame these kids for urinating on themselves because they lost the restroom badge. Absolutely ridiculous. I know that if we both help them understand the rules, they'll understand it better. So she's kind of like soliciting the parents to get in on this with her and to continue to punish the kids at home once they get home for losing the restroom pass. Again, I apologize for those that had an accident. Please know that they will have new badges tomorrow. Thank you. Feel free to call me if you want to discuss anything. So this woman's been fired, thank God. But what? This is insane. Who the heck cares about a bathroom pass that much that you're willing to torture children over it? Little children. This is truly unhinged, and it's concerning that someone with this kind of mentality was hired at this public school to begin with and is around young children. I hope that this woman does not get around kids ever again. A parent, now this is an interesting bit of the story, and this is where you come in as a parent, right? And good thing that Ashley, had time to sit down and talk with her son about the day, and she was a very intuitive mom where she realized her kid was upset. So her son was upset. Her name is Ashley Chansey, and she couldn't quite put her finger on it, but she pressed him, and she was willing to get to the bottom of why he was acting funny, a little funny. He kept trying to tell me something pretty bad happened at school that day, and I kept pressing him and telling him, please calm down, just talk to me, what's going on? And he said that the class erupted in laughter as the kids that are 6, 7 years old do, right, when a little girl, completely mortified, had peed all over herself. He said that there was urine all over the little girl, and there was a little puddle of urine at the bottom of the chair, and all the kids laughed at her, and he was really upset by this little boy who witnessed all of this, and nobody came to clean her up for the remainder of the day. What? This is bizarre. I've always thought it was bizarre. When I was in school, I always thought it was bizarre to refuse bathroom access for students. And you guys know me. I'm not completely, I mean, I am at this point completely against public school. I should say that. I don't, disparage anybody who puts their kids in public school. I get it. You have to have two incomes in today's society. And the government has made it that way, but they want to get your kids earlier and earlier. Now, Governor J.B. Pritzker is talking about getting your kids and getting them in school like prior to like pre-K, like pre-K. He wants to expand pre-K. He wants to get your kids like literally from the cradle. And this kind of stuff would never happen with homeschool. I'm just saying. It would just never happen because guess what? You get to use the bathroom in your own house. Right? So I know I wish we could get back to that as a culture where we just have mom or dad who gets to stay home with the kids at a young age like that, especially at a young age, because it's just like, how could you refuse the student's bathroom? It's such a young age. This story proves what's wrong with that whole entire process and what it's come to. And yeah, I don't know. People who go into teaching, some of those people, they have this little thing that they need in their lives, like control, and they get into these professions because they feel a little bit of control over these tiny, tiny people, which was really sad. Regardless, at least she was fired. She probably should never be hired ever again or be around minors ever again. And if you really want my personal opinion, just like the puberty blocker thing, if you refuse children their bodily functions, whether that's peeing, whether that's going through puberty, you need to be put in cuffs. Bottom line. All right, I do have to take a break, but we are going to get to Daniel Penny. There's an update in that case. Her name is Shavona Newsom. She's the BLM leader, and she decided that the jury was racist in the Daniel Penny trial. And that if someone has unconventional hair, that means they better be a part of the decision-making process. The jury, somebody was, not because of their unconventional hairstyle, right? But she said it was because of their unconventional hairstyle that she wasn't allowed to serve on the jury. And somehow that made the entire jury racist, although there were people of color on the jury. Apparently, they're all racist because they didn't allow one person because she had purple hair, which wasn't the reason why, by the way, but she says that's the reason why she wasn't allowed to be on the jury. So it makes the entire jury racist. Give me a break. All right, I'll be right back. This is Conservative Cat. hey, good morning. It's Conservative Cat on Cities 92.9 The News and talk of Bloomington Normal. So do appreciate you tuning in. Before I took the break, I was telling you a little bit about this BLM leader. So her name is Shinova Newsom, and she decided that the jury was racist. Racist. She says that because they denied this one woman, and it wasn't because of her unconventional hairstyle, but she will say that it's because of her unconventional hairstyle or purple hair is why she was not allowed on the jury, which is not true. But she said that because she wasn't on the jury, it made the entire jury racist. Okay, give me a break. I know that makes no sense to you, but these are not logical people interested in the truth. Okay, they have a very racist worldview, despite the reality of things. So this BLM leader, she went on News Nation and she gave her degenerate, reprehensible views on this case, and none of them really made sense. She did an incredible job at proving how racist she was, though. Don't worry. Take a listen.
Diverse Manhattan jury. Why? Well, it was 4 people of color. That's known typically
I
as
was there during jury selection.
Whether it was
black women were shut out for having unconventional hair, but there were 9 white jurors.
Sorry, is that what they said? They said it was for unconventional hair? Or you're just presuming
it was
that?
Unconventional hair.
A juror was dismissed for having unconventional hair. That's made up.
No, it's not.
Who said?
No, it's
Which lawyer said that?
The defense attorney.
Which one? He said what?
He said that she had unconventional hair because her hair was purple, that she would have unconventional thoughts. And that, were you in the courtroom?
No, I was not.
For 7 weeks?
I was not. But I understand. But the idea, right? Well, but again, the notion that she's being dismissed because of her hair, I assume you're assuming it's because of her race, right?
It absolutely was about weight.
Right.
Why was the expert jury consultant brought in who got off people for OJ, who had a racial trial, who brought in Kyle Rittenhouse, a young man who bought an AR-15 and killed Americans exercising their
What does Kyle
constitutional
Rittenhouse have to do with this?
Because the jury expert who...
Yeah.
Okay, I also want to be clear. Kyle Rittenhouse was acquitted. Okay, so to sit there and say that he killed somebody with an AR-15, he was acquitted. He was found not guilty. So to continue to say that he killed people when he was, in fact, found by a jury of his peers not guilty is just disingenuous and completely wrong.
Clearly got off Daniel Penny today.
The jury, it's the jury, it's not the jurors, right? Not the jurors who heard the case, right?
This woman specialized for 35 years in the psychology of juries.
Right.
She specialized in race.
You know how many of those specialists lose their cases?
Well, not this.
A lot of them.
That's why Daniel Penny took the great money of people who hate black people to pay her.
So it had to have been race, right? It's not possible. So here's my theory on this, and it's actually a reverse race thing, which I think you're going to really disagree with, right? Well, I'll tell you what. I don't think this case would have been charged if it had been a white victim and a white person who had held him in a chokehold. I don't even think there'd be charges in this.
I think it actually would. And I actually think that you would be calling Daniel Penny a murderer. Have you heard of Nathaniel Terry, a 27-year-old black man? He was an absolute monster in 2021. He killed an unidentified to this day homeless man in the project staircase. Mm-hmm. Did you see BLM come out for that type of monster? To grant our credibility. Well, when do we come out for cases that are not racially charged, would normally be ignored?
Why is this a race case? Did Daniel Penny say anything racist when it happened?
What is the labeling and the stereotypes? Daniel Penny, when he lied during interrogations, which no one is showing.
But answer my question. When was the race? When did he bring race into this?
A crackhead. And he said he was doing crackhead things. The problem is Daniel Penny showed no remorse for nothing he did. And that dishonors the real service people of this country, the real Marines who don't lie, who care for others, and who do no harm.
So do you not blame Jordan Neely at all? I mean, for what he did? He deserves no blame from your perspective, right?
Did you hear the witness testimony?
I'm asking you a question.
Cherry picking the ones.
I'm asking you a question. Do you blame Jordan Neely at all for his conduct?
If Jordan Neely was a white man, we'd be saying it was an opioid crisis. He was hungry. He was mentally ill. He had a muffin in his pocket.
I wouldn't be if there were other. What about the witnesses? Let's play again, just so we're clear on the race.
Play Eddie Gibson, who begged Daniel Neely to stop.
Oh, yeah, but he stayed there throughout the incident.
Play the ones that fit the narrative.
But what's the narrative? There's black women who were on the subway. It was mostly people of color on the subway.
All right. So it goes on for a little bit more. Maybe we'll come back to it. But she just had to throw in Kyle Rittenhouse there. She just had to, because that's totally relevant. This is a totally relevant case. Give me a break. So the first question for this race baiter that I've got: had the individual with the hair been deemed unconventional, right? Deemed unconventional. This is what she said. The reason why she didn't sit on the jury, which I'm sure there's a totally different reason why she didn't sit on the jury. This woman is claiming that it's because she had an unconventional hairstyle. It was like purple hair or whatever. Had this unconventional haired woman sit on the jury, would that verdict have changed? I don't think so. And if not, if not, this whole thing still racist, right? If that verdict had changed, and if it was, I mean, it's not racism. It's not racism. Daniel Penny didn't say anything racist. So even if Daniel Penny was found guilty for murder or whatever, it's still not a race thing. It would have been that he used excessive force and that he was not acting in self-defense, right? And the prosecution would have had to prove that he was found not guilty. But had he been found guilty, it's still not about race. It's still not about race because Daniel Penny didn't say anything racist. Okay? During the attack, there were people of color who were helping him bring down Jordan Neely. Secondly, how does she know what Penny was thinking? Did she ask him? Right? All of the evidence proves the exact opposite of what she claims, is that he was acting in self-defense. The witnesses were scared. There were plenty of witnesses who were scared. And, there were witnesses of different colors, races, creeds, right, who were helping Daniel Penny take down the guy. And, you can't say that this was about skin color. It wasn't about skin color. There were Black people helping Jordan Neely helping Daniel Penny take down Jordan Neely. So I also want to ask her, what if Jordan Neely had wound up killing a Black woman that day on the subway? There were plenty of Black women on that subway. Would she have been more satisfied with that outcome? That innocent Black women died, but Jordan Neely gets to live, right? Would she have been more satisfied with that outcome if it had played out that way? Because it probably would have played out that way, because Jordan Neely said, and I'm quoting, "Someone's going to die today." That's what witnesses had said that he said on the subway. So he arguably saved several lives that day. In fact, I think that he deserves like some sort of community award. He was a good Samaritan who's helped save people. And to believe anything different is just deranged. She's just deranged. She's just really naive, and she refuses to comprehend the facts of the situation here. And she talks about this muffin being in his pocket, right? And he was just hungry. And, if he was white, it would have been called, this is a product of the opioid crisis. Yeah, I think that this is a product of opioid crisis, drug crisis. But that doesn't mean that he wasn't dangerous, and it doesn't mean that he had to be taken down by Daniel Penny. Just because, he was hungry, just because he was a danger. In fact, I would argue that probably made him more of a danger to society, being that he was on drugs and hungry. He was a psycho who wanted to hurt people that day and intended to hurt people that day. And a muffin in his pocket really doesn't change that. And he had a record, I think it was like 40 arrests or something like this, of assaulting vulnerable people, women. I doubt breakfast pastries would have changed that because, I've got a muffin in my pocket, or because I'm hungry, I won't hurt people. No, in fact, I think I could make the argument that it enhances his want to hurt people. Rather than prove the jury saw this in a racial worldview, she showed how racist she really is. She said that the jury was racist and they wouldn't let this one girl on with the crazy hair on the jury. And ultimately, that is what caused the jury to be racist. And they saw this in a racial worldview. She actually, during this whole clip here, proves to us how racist she actually is. And the fact that she won't shut up about this, even after being proven wrong. Okay. Daniel Penny said nothing racist. She claims that because he said crackhead, which I don't understand. Crack, black, white, Asian, everybody, all kinds of races do crack. It wasn't a dig at his race. He was doing crackhead things. He described what Jordan Neely was doing. So she's just unhinged. We're going to take a quick break, but I'm going to come back. Sleepy Joe Biden, he's on his way out. He's got like less than 40-ish days, and Joe Biden is leaving the White House, being more senile than ever. He went on this really weird rant. And he starts yelling at the microphone. I think you guys will get a kick out of it. I'll be right back. Hey, good morning. Go ahead, smash that like button. What do you think? Kind of weird, right? This woman saying that, the jury was racist because they didn't have this one woman on there. Now, I don't know what the reason was for the woman with the unconventional hairstyle not being on the jury, but jury selection, it kind of just depends. If you have like a certain job, you might be seen as biased, right? I know me being a member of the media, I probably will never be able to serve on a jury. And because of like my line of work. Now there's reasons why, especially a high profile case like this, why people are not selected on the jury. Okay. And they do their due diligence and they select people who, won't have a bias. Don't know what this woman did for a living, but most likely it had to do with something like that. Or, maybe she saw some media coverage, they take a look at what your media consumption is and, they'll make a decision on whether or not you might appear to be biased if you sit on the jury. Okay. So the jury selection expert, they do the digging, right? So I can guarantee that it was probably not due to the fact that she had purple hair that the jury selection expert didn't put her on the jury. Okay. But like I said, even if she was put on the jury and the verdict had been different, okay, and they found Daniel Penny guilty of these crimes, you still can't make the argument that he did it because it was racially motivated. One, that's not what he was charged with. I think there are crimes that you can be charged with, like in New York, hate crimes is what they call them, if they're racially motivated. And he did not say anything racist to the guy. He didn't really say anything at all in the video, from what I can tell. People were freaked out and trying to help Daniel Penny bring the guy down to the ground. But even if the verdict was different, you still can't make the argument that this was racist. Why? Because he had a muffin in his pocket? I don't understand. And like I said, Jordan Neely, there's a disservice. The other day I was playing a video of his dad, and I think his uncle was there too, and his uncle was like dressed really, really well, and his dad was there as well, and they were talking about, how they're the victims and yada, yada, yada. They're still not holding their son accountable for his actions. Your actions have consequences. If you're going to act like a crackhead, you're going to be treated like a crackhead, and you're going to be brought down by people like Daniel Penny in order for your actions to not have the wrong consequences, okay? So when you get onto a subway and you say things like, someone's going to die today, what are you to believe, right? This person like shouted out on the subway that people were going to die today. And then he had 40, then you look at his record, 40 arrests prior. The likelihood that he was going to take down somebody or hurt somebody, possibly a black woman, I'd wonder what she'd have to say to that, the BLM leader. Had Jordan Neely not been taken down by Daniel Penny and subsequently took down a black woman or killed a black woman, or assaulted a black woman, what would she say then? Right? And I feel for Jordan Neely, but here's after seeing his father and his uncle, where were they? Where were his family members when he was addicted to drugs, when he was homeless, and his uncle appeared to be pretty wealthy, had a nice tux on, right? Or a nice suit on. And the father, he was saying, oh, it's, we're the victims. You can tell that father never held him accountable in his life. And that's what led him down this path of crime, 40 arrests, right? And hurting vulnerable people, elderly women, children, right? I mean, this is what Jordan Neely was. He was a bad guy. And he was doing bad things in the moment. So I'm going to get to Sleepy Joe Biden because he went on a rant and he starts screaming, which is really interesting. He's only got about 40 days left, but he's not leaving without a fight, I guess. You might have to turn down your volume for this. This is him like ranting. We're going to get to it here in just a little bit. But Biden, he froze mid-sentence too, by the way. Mid-sentence because the teleprompter went out, and then instead of saying the teleprompter went out, he said the electricity went out, but the electricity didn't go out. It was just the teleprompter, okay? Just nonsense, Biden. This is kind of fun for your Friday Eve, your Thursday. I cannot wait to have somebody who's lucidity back in the office again, and not somebody who's completely senile. I can't wait for somebody who's actually going to be able to speak without a teleprompter to be back in the White House. So during his rant, he said he has profound hope that Trump will preserve his economic success. So in these clips, you're going to hear Joe Biden touting his economic success. So he thinks that he's got all of this great economy going on and that Trump is going to be inheriting his economic success, and he hopes that Donald Trump will preserve it. He knows that Donald Trump, as soon as he gets in, the economy is going to get better for Americans. And he's playing this game where he says that it's his economy. And I don't know what he's talking about when he says that he has had economic success in his administration. That's just a complete load of crap. Woo! Hey, good morning. It's Conservative Cat on Cities 92.9, the news and Doc Bloomington Normal. Hilarious. Joe Biden, right before he leaves the White House, okay, he's going on these like really weird rants and screaming into the microphone. God, he's just so senile. He says, who will pull Europe and the Middle East together? And he goes, I'm not a wise guy. I mean, you try to decipher this for me. This is just complete Bidenese nonsense. Try to decipher this language for me. Here we go.
And one of the things that's going on here, they just turned off my. I'm going to go about. I lost the electricity here. Anyway, one of the things we found is that we invented the computer chip, size of the tip of your little finger. And
okay, I don't understand that gobbledygook at all. Now you might need to turn down your radio for this one because he's screaming. Randomly starts screaming. That one, he had lost his teleprompter. Like, he completely shut down after his teleprompter went out. He froze like mid-sentence. You could hear him there, and he said that the electricity went off. That makes no sense because the electricity was still on. It's just that the teleprompter wasn't working. So take a listen to this clip. Like I said, warning, 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 turn down your radios because the volume gets pretty loud here. He starts screaming for no reason.
I can't name a single country in the world that doesn't think, put it this way, if we're not leading the world, who does? Not a joke. I'm not being wise guy. If we do not lead the world,
oh boy,
what nation leads the world? Who pulls Europe together? Who tries to pull the Middle East together? How do we do the Indian Ocean? What do we do in Africa? We, the United States, lead the world. I can't name a single country in the world.
Okay, so I don't know. What is the United States doing in Africa? Don't know. He was in Africa. I think this was in an Africa press conference. I don't know what he's doing. It's unclear. But according to Sleepy Joe, if we don't lead the world, what nation will? Who pulls Europe and the Middle East together? And he goes, I'm not a wise guy. What? Are you all right, Joe? Now, this one is terrible because he starts talking about his abysmal jobs report. Now, the jobs report, as I've talked about a lot here on the program, there were no new jobs. Okay, a lot of these were COVID bounce back jobs that he's reporting, and then almost all of the new jobs that he's talking about and is in his jobs numbers. It's all foreign-born workers, so illegal immigrants, and they're all government, public sector jobs. So there was no gains in the private sector, and American citizens are not seeing any gains when it comes to jobs. So let's take a listen to this. This is really interesting. He knows that when Donald Trump comes in, there is going to be economic prosperity again. Okay. And he's trying to get ahead of it here with these comments. Take a listen.
Next month, my administration will end and a new administration will begin. Most economists agree the new administration is going to inherit a fairly strong economy, at least at the moment. An economy going through fundamental transformation that's laid out a stronger foundation and sustainable, broad-based, highly productive growth. That is my profound hope that the new administration will preserve and build on this progress. Next month,
it's my profound hope that the Trump administration, will preserve my economic success. Okay, that's what Joe Biden says here. Now, I want to point this out. Anytime Joe Biden gets near the Oval Office, we saw it when he was vice president. Okay, anytime he gets near the Oval Office as vice president, the economy sucked. As president, it sucked. The funny thing is, Trump literally won in 2016 to fix that mess, and this is the mess. In 2016, Donald Trump fixed it, and that was the mess that Joe Biden, the then vice president, helped create. Okay, he created the mess, and then he was elected in 2024, Donald Trump, to fix this mess again. So you can't sit here and tell me and gaslight me that you have economic success in your administration. You're lying. You're just lying. So the constant gaslighting that Trump somehow keeps inheriting these incredible economies when they're the ones that clearly destroy them. The economy sucked when Obama was in. The economy sucked when Biden was in. Not to mention Joe Biden was the vice president under Barack Obama. So that being said, it must be nice for Joe to get to go up there, play dress up, and act like he's actually running things. But really, the puppeteer is Barack Obama, I think, is the master puppeteer here. It must be nice to pretend like he's running things. He is a national embarrassment. It must be nice to get up there and play dress up. Meanwhile, the American people are suffering. So there's approximately 40 days, maybe 30-ish days until America will never have to listen to these senile rants ever again. And I am so excited about it. America has spoken. That's what Brian said. On the stream, I'm live on YouTube, Rumble, and Twitter. You guys can find me there. I'll be right back. We're going to talk a little bit more about, actually, I have this crazy story for you. It's this Mazda guy. So he's a customer and he was unhappy with the service. Now, it's kind of hilarious to watch this video over and over again. He crashes his Mazda into a car dealership, his brand new car through the car dealership because he was upset with the customer service there. Yes, I'll be right back. You're listening to Conservative Cat on Cities 92.9. Hey, it's Conservative Cat on Cities 92.9, the news and talk Bloomington Normal. So do appreciate you tuning in each and every single morning. Now, I do want to get to this story. A man drove his car into a Mazda dealership. I like to pull these sometimes, especially as we get closer to the end of the week. They're hilarious. This video has gone viral. It was a Mazda dealership, and he was unhappy with their customer service, okay? That's why he drove his car into the dealership. Sounds like a guy that doesn't really think through his decisions. Utah. This is out of Utah. Utah man drove his car through the front door of a Mazda dealership just hours after purchasing the car from the same dealership, okay? Now, this incident happened in Sandy, Utah, after the man was told he couldn't return the car. The man told the dealership that he'd drive his car through the front door if the dealership did not let him return it. And they told him it was sold as is. Look, the car sold as is. The man did exactly as he had promised and drove the car right through the front door. He was arrested on charges of felony criminal mischief and reckless endangerment. Yes. He warned them, though, to make good on their promise. He's lucky, though, that nobody, like, seriously, somebody could have been sitting at this desk. If you watch the video, now it's littered with profanities. He drives the car in, almost hits if somebody had been sitting at this desk there, he was literally moments away from killing somebody. So according to Sergeant Greg Moffitt, yeah, this is a police officer with the Sandy Police Department, 35-year-old Michael Murray purchased a car from this dealership, Mazda dealership in Sandy on Monday morning. But after finding some mechanical issues, he was trying to return it, okay? So the police officer also said that the dealership had sold the vehicle as is and refused to take it back. Michael Murray then said he would drive the car through the front door if they didn't give him his money back. So a little after 4 p.m. on Monday, he bought the car that morning. A little after 4 p.m., he did exactly that. He was arrested and charged. Fortunately, no injuries were reported, and everyone at the dealership is okay. And the structure was not threatened, so they're just going to replace the front door, the front window here, so they don't have to tear down the building, or it didn't ruin the structure of the building. So, but for real, how is this supposed to help the situation? It only is going to make it worse, pal. Okay, he likely is going to be much more responsible for much more than that car now. He's got to pay for the car. He's probably also got to pay for the window and the damages, everything. It's going to be a pretty hefty bill. And now he's got criminal charges to deal with. So unclear why he thought this was a good idea. Don't think he really thinks things through. But to be fair, he likely did not think. He probably was just so peeved off that he wasn't thinking and that his brain just completely shut down. So he also should have had the car inspected. You know, everybody knows this. Get the car inspected before finalizing things. But clearly, like I said, this guy doesn't think through his decisions. He didn't get the car inspected, obviously, and he bought the car and he found out that it had. And I get it. I hate sleazy car salesmen. I've been there, done that. Got a real lemon of a car. It was like a buy here, pay here place. I was 18 years old. They had low down payments, right? And I got completely shafted in this car. And I hate them as much as the next guy. But this is taking it a bit too far, wouldn't you say? To say the very least. But hey, at least, this Subaru that he drove into this Mazda dealership is completely destroyed, and I don't think he's got to worry about it much more anymore. I don't think he's got to worry about this Subaru anymore. I think that they're not gonna bother him about this Subaru anymore. But he is facing criminal charges, and he's probably gonna pay a lot of money. All right, that's gonna do it for today's show. Thank you so much for tuning in. A quick news roundup. Some headlines we discussed today. Justin Trudeau said he was a proud feminist, and he said that the United States refusing to elect Kamala Harris is an attack on women's rights and progress. And yeah, he said that I'm a proud feminist. Nice, Justin Trudeau. I also talked a lot about the UK blocking these puberty blockers, or banning these puberty blockers for minors. They should have done it a long time ago, and it's not really all that great of a ban because guess what? They're still doing clinical trials, so they're using kids as guinea pigs with this medication that we actually use to chemically castrate pedophiles in some situations. So yeah, not all that impressive of a ban. And not to mention, what about all the kids who have taken puberty blockers up to this point? Because you failed to act as politicians and ban this right from the get. Because, I don't know, common sense tells us you probably shouldn't block the healthy puberty of healthy kids for no reason. Because they didn't act on it, now kids are suffering from permanent damage. We also talked about San Diego. San Diego, they voted to turn their county into what's called a super sanctuary county. So sanctuary counties, what they do, they just don't deport you if you're illegal, and they let you take harbor there. But they take it a step further here in San Diego with this vote. And if you cooperate as a police officer or as an official with ICE or federal immigration enforcement, you could be subject to punishment. Yes. So you guys have a blessed day. Bye-bye. Love you. Thank you so much for tuning in each and every single morning. We'll do it all over again tomorrow morning. We'll talk soon. Bye-bye.